My name is Wendy Tully, and I'm from the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services. I am in their Office of Grants Management. Grants are all we do. In fact, Cal OES administers approximately $1.6 billion in funds each year. That's federal and state dollars for purposes such as Homeland Security, emergency management, criminal justice, and victim services programs. Our funds are distributed to local and regional entities and usually community-based organizations. What I'm going to talk to you about today, although we have several different types of funding, the funding I want to talk about today is the VOCA, the Victims of Crime Act funding. Each year, Cal OES receives the federal grant for VOCA. It's approximately $50 million each year. However, in 2015, it was $232 million. So quite an increase to what we were used to. So as a result, Cal OES has been able to create about a dozen new programs, one of which will go directly to the counties, and I'll get to that in a second. But first, some of the requirements for the VOCA funding must be used to support direct services to crime victims. So that's, responding to the emotional, physical needs of a crime victim, assisting primary and secondary victims of crime, helping victims understand the criminal justice system, and providing victims of crime with, a measure of safety and security. Also, one of the requirements of the VOCA funding is match. It requires a 20% match, usually in kind or cash. And finally, because of this influx of money going from $50 million to $230 million, states were expected to put together a group of key stakeholders. And so Cal OES did. We met last fall with our steering committee, and they helped us develop these new programs and help with a strategic plan that was also required. So here is a list of the new funding opportunities under the VOCA funding. There's about 12 of them there. I highlighted the third one, which is the County Victim Services Program, and I'm going to go into details in a few minutes. But if any of the other programs are of interest to you, let me show you how to find funding on our website. We just switched websites, so it can be a little tedious. We're kind of buried a couple pages in, so let me share that with you. Our website is caloes.ca.gov. So when you get there, you'll see that ribbon along the top. You want to click on Cal OES Divisions, and then find Grants Management. It's on the right-hand side. And then find in that little box on the right, search for grants, click on that, and that will take you to every single competitive and non-competitive funding opportunity that we offer. Moving right along. So when you click on something you think may be of interest to you, check immediately in the eligibility part of the RFA or the RFP to see if you're even eligible to compete or apply for the funding. And if you're not, as a county or a local unit of government, it might be for community-based organizations only. Maybe you know of a community-based organization that this particular funding stream fits, that you could let them know. You could tell them, share, pass the word. So let's talk about our County Victim Services Program. It's a brand new program because of the influx of the VOCA money, as I just mentioned. This will benefit every single county in California and the city of Los Angeles.
How much is the money?
It's $40 million. The purpose is one-time funding. And the reason it's one-time, Darby, is because it was one-time influx of money. If we get another influx of money, I don't know what will happen, but for now it's a one-time.
Give more to counties, maybe? Just kidding. Go ahead.
It will be discussed, I'm sure. So the purpose of the County Victim Services Program is to provide one-time funding to support each of California's 58 counties and the city of Los Angeles in providing direct services to victims. Eligibility, all the counties in the city of LA. Cal OES will be releasing the RFA, the request for application, on March 1st. And if you follow the slides there that show you how to find the funding opportunities on our website, that's where the RFA will be. So March 1st, next Tuesday, it will be posted. Darby will also be sending out a little blurb that I'm going to write for her with the link,
yes,
if you don't mind. The applications are due back on April 12th, so it gives you about 6 weeks to write your application. As we said just a minute ago, it's $40 million in funding. Each county is receiving a base amount of $125,000, and the remaining funds were allocated based on population and violent crime stats. I did not bring the individual county allocations today because I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole. We only have a limited time. You can contact me directly. I will be happy to tell you. Or you can wait till March 1st and it's all going to be in the RFA. The anticipated grant period will be July 1st of 2016 and it will end June 30 of 2018.
Is there any requirements on if you already have something funded and it provides direct assistance, like non-supplantation language or anything like that?
You can't supplant. The purpose of this money is to expand services. There's never enough money to help victims ever. So the purpose of this is to do more, hire more staff. I know it's hard with counties to hire a new staff person for 2 years. Overtime is absolutely allowed. Additional service, paying for additional services to help victims is allowed. But the RFA contains like 8 pages of what's allowed and what is not allowed. Okay, so I would encourage everyone to look at that when you're writing your application to find out what you can and can't use the money for. Some of the criteria, how am I doing on time? Okay. Some of the criteria, we wanted to make sure that everyone in a county came together and had a discussion. So you'll see in the RFA on March 1st when it's posted, each county must create a victim services steering committee. And that steering committee will be tasked with creating the plan for how the money is going to be spent. So the steering committee will have to identify the victim services gaps and needs in your county, and then the plan on how to address those.
And it doesn't have to be newly created, because if the people, the positions that you're requiring, which I think many of them are on CCPs today, you don't have to create a new group. You can do it through your CCP if that already exists.
And if I'll get to the required members, but if somebody is not on your CCP, you could then invite them
to participate during the discussions.
Perfect. So you have the work done.
Right.
The plan that you will submit with your application that your steering committee creates will include the name of the county agency your county wants to be the grant sub-award, the point of contact with Cal OES. Cal OES cannot have 300 grants for this program. So, for example, in the county of Plumas, if you select your county mental health department to be the grant sub-awardee from Cal OES, all the money will go to Plumas County Mental Health, and then mental health in Plumas County will have to have operational agreements or agreements with other county entities.
Got it.
To share, there's so much money, it needs to be shared, and it should be shared. And then the final thing we need in the application is we need the signatures of all the mandatory steering committee members on the plan. And you're probably asking, well, who are those mandatory members? Here you go. The slide up now are the folks that our VOCA steering committee highly suggested or wanted mandatory on your steering committees. They wanted adult protective services to be there, child protective services, a representative from your courts, the district attorney, your mental health department, a representative from at least one police department in your county, representative from probation, a representative from the sheriff's office, and the VOCA steering committee was very adamant about having these steering committees team up with a Cal OES funded victim witness program in your county, a Cal OES funded domestic violence program in your county, and a Cal OES rape crisis program in your county. So these folks on this screen have to be part of your discussion on how this money is going to be spent and in the manner it's going to be spent. Our VOCA steering committee also strongly encouraged these entities to be part of the steering committee in each county, if possible. The Office of the Ombudsman, the disabilities community, emerging victim populations like human trafficking, hospitals, medical providers, schools, school districts, teens and transitioning age youth, and tribes if you're in a county that has tribes. So that is about the gist of my presentation. I think I'm just under my 15 minutes. I'm sure there are a lot of questions, and I'm happy to take those after the BSCC presents. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Jolls, and I'm the Deputy Director of the the Board of State and Community Corrections CPP division, our Corrections Planning and Programs division. With me today is Colleen Curtin, one of the field reps for CPP. I want to thank CSAC for inviting us to be here today to share some information about the work that we do. We're always really happy when we have an opportunity to get the word out about our work and grant opportunities. So we're going to review with you the different types of grants that we administer, federal and state, competitive and non-competitive first, and then at the end we'll talk a little bit about the processes that we use to administer our grant programs. We've got a slide for each of our primary grants, and we'll start with our state competitive grants, which you can see displayed right here. We'll go through each slide, which has a little more detail, but when we get to the Prop 47 and strengthening grants, we're going to pause, and Colleen's going to talk in more detail about those two grants because those are current opportunities. So we'll start with our CalGRIP grant, and you can see here that this and the other slides, which we hope you'll keep and use as reference, will include the eligible grantees, the amount of funding in play, the status of the current grant cycle, and when there will be another RFP if applicable. So that information is for CalGRIP. And then we have our, people refer to it as MIOCR, it's our Mentally Ill Offender Crime Reduction Grant. It includes that same summary of information. You can see here the grantees include various county agencies, and it funds both adult and juvenile projects. Our Pay for Success grant program is a brand new one, and we don't have grants awarded yet. We have several applications that were received by the due date. They're under review right now. So this, once these grants are awarded, we will have that information on our website. We'll be going to our board in April with recommendations. We have our Proud Parenting program, and again, you can see here a description of the type of program that it is, its population, grantees, etc. Here's our Prop 47 slide. I'm going to pause, and Colleen's going to talk now about the next two slides.
So Proposition 47 was a ballot initiative passed last year. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it. Reduced certain crimes from felonies to misdemeanors and allows for resentencing under specified circumstances. The propositions prescribe that 65% of the state savings realized will go to the Board of State and Community Corrections for a brand new grant program. This grant program will fund mental health and substance abuse treatment programs, diversion programs, and recidivism reduction programs. Assembly Bill 1056 recently passed and further prioritizes this grant program to include a focus on housing-related assistance, community-based services, wraparound services, job skills training, case management, and civil legal services. The Assembly Bill prescribes that public agencies will be the lead on this grant. The funding, as estimated in the governor's proposed budget, will be $19 million for fiscal year 16-17. Second year savings are estimated at $26.3 million, and ongoing savings estimated at $37.4 million. The BSCC is in the process right now of forming an executive steering committee made up of subject matter experts from around the state. This executive steering committee will develop a request for proposal to put this grant money out to the field. We are anticipating that a request for proposal will go out sometime in mid-2017 with a start date in early 2018. Another new grant program at the Board of State and Community Corrections is the Strengthening Local Law Enforcement and Community Relations Grant. This grant it was passed as a part of the last Budget Act. It allocates $6 million for grants that fund activities at the local level, activities designed to improve and strengthen the relationships between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve. This request for proposal went out on February 5th. It's available on our website. Applications are due to the BSCC on April 1st. The eligible applicants for this grant include municipal police departments, county sheriff's departments, and cities that contract for police services. Those are the eligible applicants and will serve as the lead agencies on this grant. They are required, though, to apply in partnership with the communities that they serve, and there are specific requirements in the RFP that describe what that partnership looks like. This grant will be a 2-year grant starting July 1, 2016 and running through June 30th of 2018. The governor's proposed budget includes an additional $6 million for fiscal year 16-17. So there could be $12 million total available for this grant. The BSCC plans to produce a ranked list from this competitive RFP process, and will go down, should the additional $6 million become available in fiscal year 16-17, BSCC will use the list generated from this RFP to allocate those funds.
Thank you, Colleen. In reference to the Prop 47 grant, the timelines are very flexible. It's definitely a work in progress. We plan to go before the board in April to approve the ESC committee. An ambitious scenario would be that we would actually have the RFP out later in 2017 with later in 2016 with awards granted as early as early 2017. So it's sort of difficult to pin down precisely, but it's possible we'll have the money out by early 2017. We're sort of planning towards that. Okay, and then circling back then and talking about, we have several competitive federal grants that we administer, always subject, of course, to federal appropriation and award to California. And you can see them here on our slide. The JAG program has 32 grantees right now, and we're in year 2 of a 3-year cycle, so we'll be gearing up next summer for the next RFP on that grant. Then we've got our Title II grant, which we just entered into new contracts this last fall, so this is a new cycle. It'll be a while before this one comes up as an opportunity again. We have our Reducing Racial and Ethnic Disparities grants, and you can see here the information on those. And then we have our RSAT, our Residential Substance Abuse Treatment Program, which is out to 4 probation departments. County Sheriff's Departments. Right. And on our non-competitive state grants, we've got a list here. I'd only plan to talk in a little more detail about the city law enforcement grants and the community recidivism reduction grants, because those are the 2 where the BSCC has some sort of a role other than a pass-through. In the case of the others, there's a little bit of administrative work that goes on, but these are not competitive grants, and the BSCC is really just an administrator. For the city law enforcement grants, though, you'll see that last bullet that there is a requirement in fiscal year 15-16 that those entities that are participating in this grant program provide data to us, use of force incidents resulting in hospitalization or death. So we're getting those first quarter reports now, and we'll have the first summary report on our website probably by the end of the month. That reporting requirement is only in play until the end of the fiscal year. And then the second grant with reporting requirements is the Community Recidivism Reduction Fund grant. And again, you can see in that last bullet that counties who are participating in this program need to report annual data regarding number of people served and types of services. And we just got our first round of reporting from calendar year 2015, and we expect to have that on our website within the next couple of weeks as well. Speaking of our website, oops, not yet, sorry. I'm going to pass it back to Colleen, who's going to talk a little bit to you guys about how we administer grants and how we provide oversight once grants have been awarded.
So at the BSCC, we use what we call an executive steering committee process, or an ESC process. We use the ESC process for almost all of the work that we do. We convene an ESC whenever we administer a new grant program, or put forth regulations, etc. ESCs are made up of subject matter experts from the field. We work really hard to ensure that we have diversity, from geographic diversity, as well as racial and ethnic diversity, as well as diversity in personal and professional experience. We convene these executive steering committees to develop a request for proposal whenever we are required to administer a new grant program. The ESC usually meets over a period of several days, has discussions, and develops the requirements for a request for proposal, which the BSCC staff then put on paper. Once a request for proposal is formulated, it goes before our board for final approval. Our executive steering committees also are the individuals that read and rate the proposals once they come in, and they make award recommendations to the board. We're in the process right now, as I mentioned earlier, of forming an ESC for the Proposition 47 grant. And individuals who are interested in serving on that ESC can go to the BSCC website and submit a letter of interest. And as I mentioned, all of our grant programs require board review and approval before they are awarded. I'll mention a little bit about our grants monitoring process. As part of our process, we require quarterly progress reports from grantees that provide updates on process outcomes. We require quarterly financial reports. We do desk reviews of invoices and budget activity to make sure that grantees are spending the grant funds in accordance with the grant requirements. We do on-site program monitoring visits. So we, as field representatives, we come out and visit the programs and make sure that the programs are in fact there and operating according to the rules. We do regularly scheduled phone conferences with our grantees. We put forth contracts with terms and conditions that must be met. And we require, as a part of most of our grants, the submission of a final evaluation report at the end of our grant. Most of our grants now are 2 to 3 to 4 year grants, and so rather than requiring an annual report, we require one at the very end, and we provide technical assistance for the submission of those reports.
Thank you, Colleen. And to be clear on that fifth bullet, we don't want you betting on anything, nor are we encouraging that. That's a typo, obviously. So some final thoughts. We've got a number of resources and information on our website. I really encourage you to go to our website and you'll find a lot more detail, including very comprehensive descriptions about the programs that are out there that are being funded by these and outcome data where that's available and, you know, summaries of it, photos, a lot of really good stuff. So the first link is our homepage, which has other information not related to grants, but also very good information. The second link is the CPP's homepage, and that's where you're going to find all the grant information on behalf of the BSCC. That last bullet is our grant administration guidelines reference document, which will help you in understanding the requirements of the grants that we administer and may give you some background as well that could be helpful at time of application. Our contact information, both mine and Colleen's and other staff, is also on our website. And we also have a page devoted to Prop 47, which has been quite a lot of interest. We have FAQs posted there, and again, the opportunity to express interest in participating on the Prop 47 ESC. Lastly, if you'd like to be added to our listserv, which we use whenever a new funding opportunity is out there, in addition to all the other myriad ways to get the word out, we also can put your name on our listserv. You could just send me an email and let me know if you'd like that to be done. My email address, and I apologize that I didn't put it in the slide, is mary.jolls, Jolls, at bscc.ca.gov. And again, it can be found on our website as well. And thank you, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, and maybe, Colleen, maybe we can have Wendy come in here.
Sure.
We do have some questions on the OES funding. So I do want to say also that both presentations are going to be available on our website at counties.org as well.
Great.
Wendy, we had some questions that you talk about the money as if it's already allocated for each county. Is it competitive, or is it each county gets this funding for the $40 million and then they have to do all these other things?
That's a good question. Sorry if I wasn't clear. This particular program is not competitive. All 58 counties and the city of Los Angeles are receiving an allocation.
And then for a smaller county, if they want to do, or if a county wants to do a collaboration or a regional approach to a project, could they combine, can they use their funding together?
I like that idea, actually. We haven't really discussed it. Call me or email me directly and we can chat. Regional approaches work really, really well. We did one for a marijuana suppression program years ago, and it worked really, really well. And it actually is more beneficial to the smaller counties. So I get it. I think it's a great idea. Let's discuss.
And what if a county doesn't have a lot of volunteers that are active? Do you have to have volunteer representation on the...
There's the steering committee that we're requiring each county to have. There were no volunteers, but the 3 Cal OES programs I think every county has
Currently
the
has
Victim
one.
Witness Program, the Domestic Violence, and a Rape Crisis Center in their county. So a representative from each of those 3 programs must be on your steering committee.
Okay, and actually for either of you, do you know of any funding for technical assistance to counties to reducing jail overcrowding? Is there any funding available for technical assistance for a sheriff's department to deal with jail overcrowding?
I'm not aware of any. We don't have any at the BSCC.
Okay. Okay.
We don't either, but you know what? BJA often has, if you go directly to the federal, is it BJA.gov?
Bureau, yes.
Bureau of Justice Assistance. Yeah, they have a
Okay.
lot of great stuff.
And then Mary, can you repeat your email one more time?
Sure. It's mary.jolls, JOLLS, @bscc.ca.gov.
Okay. And then Prop 47, does a county need to be the lead agency, or can another non-governmental agency be the lead?
For both Prop 47 language and AB 1056 require that a public agency be the lead agency. So that's in law. But the AB 1056 sort of invites the idea that there be partnerships with community-based organizations.
And are you, if one county has 5 different or 6 different applications from various groups, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Are you looking for collaboration where it's one proposal, or how do you look at that or think about that at this time?
Those are all the questions that are posed to the Executive Steering Committee. Those questions and many others, and then those very smart subject matter experts that we'll get from all over the state will develop the answer to that and the other questions, and will describe for the applicants what we're looking for and what the rating factors will be. So that's to be determined.
Okay, great. And then future grant opportunities for infrastructure planning, construction, etc., related to emergency operations centers?
That's the other side of the house at Cal OES. Cal OES is known for responding to disasters and whatnot. Our particular side of the house is grants. Our Homeland Security side probably could answer questions, so if you wanted to contact me directly, I could probably find you the proper person. I can't speak to it myself, but I could find
You
somebody.
don't want to make something up real quick?
Yeah, no.
Okay.
Not today.
We're okay with that. And then you had talked about the other grant programs that you have created, and you say they're one-time money, but has the 2016, it doesn't look like that same large amount of money will be coming into?
Yes. Yeah, it looks like a large amount. I don't know the dollar figure yet, and I don't know if they're going to, I don't know if there will be time to see if these new programs are successful so we can continue them, or if they're going to come up with new programs. That is yet to be determined, and we have a steering committee that, kind of like their ESC, that handles those decisions. So it's all up in the air right now.
Got it. And for people listening, there on our website will be a one-pager kind of explaining how the VOCA funding and why the increase occurred and how that is likely to happen. So we have another question here. Please repeat websites or direct the slides which are attached to the handout section to the Go webinar. Please go to our website, sorry about that, at counties.org. You will find all of the attachments, the one-pager on the VOCA funding, and lots of other very helpful information. Okay, so let's,
I wanted to add something for the question about Prop 47, what that might look like. We did a series of regional meetings just finishing up in Southern California the last week of January, and within the next several weeks we're going to have posted on our website sort of a summary of what we heard in that public comment, which our co-chairs and chair and other staff attended. That might sort of begin to paint a picture for you about what to expect in terms of the request for proposal.
Got it. That is very helpful. And then are you planning any more regional meetings?
We'll have at least one more here in the Sacramento area after the Executive Steering Committee has been formed so that they can hear themselves directly from the public.
Got it. Okay. And then on the OES funding, the other grants that you guys have created and are funding, how did you determine those areas of need? Was it that is what you had, how did you come to those areas?
We created a steering committee made up of victim experts. We had LGBTQ expert, we had human trafficking expert, we had domestic violence coalition, we had the sexual assault coalition. We had every victim population represented in the room, and we met 3 times, I believe, last fall, and we talked about gaps, what people see in LA, what they see in Humboldt, what they see in Sacramento, and we had lengthy discussions about where best the money could be used to help victims. And so those 12 new programs were developed, and we did beef up some of our existing programs that go directly to domestic violence shelters and sexual assault centers as well.
Gotcha.
So it was a long, tedious process, and it was well thought out.
Got it. And I just want to add, we don't have any more questions right now, but besides these programs that OES and BSCC have talked about today, I just want to point out that in the governor's proposed budget, there are additional grant programs that are being proposed this year, and they include the racial and the city law enforcement grants. Sorry about that. There is siting grants for hard-to-site facilities that have difficulty, counties or cities that have site, halfway houses, treatment facilities, that if they can site them between January 2016 and July 2017, that there'll be funding going to those counties or cities. The administration is still working on details on that program, but that's another example of a program in the budget that's at this time one-time funding, but can help in improving and expanding services in the county or city. Right now, I don't think we have any more questions. Did we forget anything? No, except for the horn blowing outside the whole time. All right, well, thank you so much for tuning in. If there are any follow-up questions, you're more than welcome to email us at our website. I'm Darby Kernan at dkernan, KERNAN, @counties.org. We'll have all the information on the website, and I'm happy to help anybody who's interested in trying to get these funds. Thank you.